I was sitting in the cafeteria when a girl I'd spoken to maybe twice in my life looked at me with this sad little head tilt and said, "I'm really sorry about your dad." And my entire body went cold. Let me back up. His name is Marcus, and when I met him at the beginning of junior year, I genuinely thought the universe was finally cutting me a break. We had AP English together, sat in the same row, and he was one of those people who could make the whole room laugh without trying too hard. Not the loud, class clown type. More like he'd say something under his breath that was so perfectly timed you'd have to bite your lip to keep it together. He asked for my number after we got paired for a group project on Hamlet, and within 2 weeks we were texting every single night until 1 or 2 in the morning. By October, we were official. My first real relationship, if I'm being honest. I'd had a thing with a guy freshman year that lasted maybe 3 weeks, but this felt different. Marcus paid attention. When I talked, he didn't just wait for his turn to speak. He actually listened. He remembered the smallest things, like how I mentioned once that I hated the smell of lavender, and then 2 weeks later he switched his air freshener because of it. His friend group was tight, 5 guys who'd been close since middle school. They played basketball together, had a group chat that was apparently legendary, and hung out every Friday night without fail. I liked that about him. He had loyalty. He had roots. Those are the kinds of things you admire in someone before you realize they can also work against you. For the first few months, everything between us was easy. We'd study together at the library, get food after school, watch movies at his house on weekends when his mom was home. She loved me, by the way, always made me a plate without asking. I felt safe with him. That's the part that matters most for what comes next. I felt genuinely, completely safe. Here's the thing about my family, and I need you to understand how hard this is for me to talk about, even now. My dad has a drinking problem. He's had one for years. It's not the kind you see in movies where someone's stumbling around breaking furniture every night. It's quieter than that. It's him missing my 8th grade graduation because he fell asleep at 3 in the afternoon. It's my mom making excuses to the neighbors about why he didn't come to the block party. It's me learning to read the weight of his footsteps when he comes in the door so I know which version of him I'm getting that night. We don't talk about it. My family, I mean, my mom has this unspoken rule where everything stays inside the house. She's not cruel about it, she's just scared. Scared of judgment, scared of what people might think, scared of what it would mean to say it out loud and make it real. And honestly, I inherited that from her. I carried that silence around like it was part of my DNA. I didn't tell my best friend Nadia. I didn't tell my school counselor. I didn't tell anyone until Marcus. It was late November, maybe 2 in the morning on a school night, and we were on the phone. My dad had come home bad that night. Not violent, never violent, but loud. Saying things to my mom that I could hear through the wall. Sloppy, mean things. I was crying and Marcus asked me what was wrong, and for the first time in my life, I just let it out. All of it. The drinking, the lying, the years of pretending everything was fine. He was quiet for a long time after I finished. Then he said, "I'm glad you told me. I'm not going anywhere." And I believed him. God, I believed him so completely. Things were good after that. Better even, telling him felt like dropping a weight I didn't know I was carrying. He never brought it up unless I did first, never made me feel weird about it, and sometimes when I'd had a rough night at home, he'd just send me a voice memo of himself talking about random stuff, his day, a funny thing his little brother did, a basketball play he was working on, just to give me something else to fall asleep to. It made me love him. I'm not embarrassed to say that. For 3 months, I walked around thinking I'd found someone who actually understood me. Then February came. Marcus and his friends were planning a trip for President's Day weekend, this cabin thing one of their parents owned. Wanted me to come and I was excited about it, but I told him I probably couldn't because things at home had been tense and I didn't want to leave my mom alone with my dad for a whole weekend. He pushed a little and I explained more specifically. My dad had been worse lately, drinking during the day now, and my mom had been sleeping in my little brother's room some nights. He seemed to understand. He said okay. He said he'd miss me, and I thought that was the end of it. The Tuesday after the long weekend, I walked into the cafeteria like any other day. Nadia was saving me a seat, and I was balancing a tray with a questionable slice of pizza on it. That's when it happened. This girl, Priya, who I knew was dating one of Marcus's friends, walked up to me, touched my arm, and said those words. "I'm really sorry about your dad." I just stared at her. I didn't even blink. She must have seen something shift in my face because she immediately looked uncomfortable and said, "Wait, was I not supposed to? I just thought since Jalen told me," and then she stopped herself. Jalen, that's Marcus's best friend. So now I'm standing there doing math in my head. Priya knows because Jalen told her. Jalen knows because who? There was only one person on this planet I had told. I put the tray down, walked out of the cafeteria, and called Marcus. He picked up on the second ring, all casual, like, "Hey, what's up?" And I said, "Did you tell people about my dad?" Silence. Not the good kind, not the listening kind. The kind where someone is trying to figure out how much you already know so they can calibrate their lie. Then he said, "What do you mean?" And that's when I knew. I didn't yell, I wanted to, but my voice went the opposite direction, dead quiet, almost flat. I said, "Priya just came up to me in the cafeteria and said she was sorry about my dad. She heard it from Jalen, so I need you to tell me exactly what you said and who you said it to." He started stumbling over his words. He told me that during the cabin trip, the guys were all talking late at night, and someone asked why I wasn't there. And he just explained a little bit about my home situation. He said it wasn't malicious. He said he was worried about me. He said they were his closest friends, and he needed someone to talk to about it because it was weighing on him. I wanted to scream. This thing I had never told a single soul, this thing my mother would be devastated to know was out in the world, this thing I handed to him in the dark at 2 in the morning while I was crying, and he shared it around a fire pit like it was a campfire story. But here's where I made my mistake. I didn't just confront Marcus. I texted Jalen directly and said, "I can't believe Marcus told you my personal business and you turned around and told Priya. That's disgusting." Jalen screenshotted it and sent it to their group chat. Within an hour, my phone was blowing up. Marcus was texting me saying I went behind his back to start drama with his friends. Jalen's girlfriend Priya was texting me apologizing, but also saying I didn't need to call her boyfriend disgusting. Two other guys from the friend group, people I'd barely interacted with, were posting vague stuff on their stories. Things like some people can't handle when others care about them, and imagine being mad someone was worried about you. That one made my hands shake. Nadia found me in the bathroom during fifth period, and I told her everything, the full story, from the beginning. She held my hand and didn't say a word until I was done. Then she looked at me and said, "He had no right." And I started crying all over again because hearing someone validate what I was feeling made it hit 10 times harder. That night, Marcus called me. He wasn't apologetic anymore. He was frustrated. He said I was making this into a bigger thing than it needs to be. He said his friends were loyal and would never spread it further. He said I was punishing him for caring. And the worst part of me almost bought it. Part of me thought, maybe I am overreacting. Maybe this is what it looks like when someone loves you and doesn't know how to handle it alone. But then I thought about my mom, about what she would feel if she knew that a group of teenage boys and their girlfriends now knew the thing she'd spent years trying to hide. And the guilt I felt, not for being angry at Marcus, but for telling him in the first place, nearly ate me alive. Here's the part I didn't find out until a week later. Nadia heard from someone in her chemistry class that it hadn't just been the guys at the cabin. Marcus had actually told Jalen weeks before the trip, back in December, barely a month after I'd confided in him. The cabin wasn't some emotional late-night slip. Jalen had already known for months, which means Marcus's whole "it just came out because I was worried about you" story was a lie. He'd been sharing my secret casually, piece by piece, probably every time someone asked a question about me or my family. I wasn't a girlfriend he was trying to protect. I was a story he was telling. And the thing that keeps me up at night is this. I went back and thought about every time one of his friends looked at me a little too long or was extra nice to me when I came around, and I realized they probably all knew. For months, every single one of them, while I sat there thinking my secret was safe. Marcus and I broke up, obviously. He posted something the next day about learning and growing that made me want to throw my phone into the ocean. His friends think I'm the bad guy. A few people at school have heard some version of the story, not the full thing, but enough to whisper. I've been eating lunch in the library with Nadia most days. My mom doesn't know any of this happened, and I plan to keep it that way, because the idea of her finding out that strangers know about our family makes me feel physically sick. But here's the part I keep turning over. Was Marcus completely wrong? He told his best friend about something that was stressing him out in his relationship. People do that. I told Nadia eventually too. Am I a hypocrite? Or is there a difference between telling your friend because you need support after a betrayal and telling your friend someone else's deepest secret because it was interesting to share? I genuinely don't know anymore. So I'm asking you, was I wrong for how I handled this? Was he wrong? Or were we both just two people who didn't know how to carry something that heavy? Tell me what you think, because I've been arguing with myself about it for weeks and I still don't have an answer.